This sweetheart wedding cake is going to have your wedding couple on top of it. Really nice, easy cake to do. Very quick and no piping needed. To make this sweetheart's wedding cake, there's a few things that you need to do in advance. Firstly, you need to make some of these hearts. I've made about 30 or 40 different sized, and I'll show you how to do them in a minute using a lovely little mould that makes this gorgeous rounded heart shape. You need some lace, and I've used a kind of lace that's quite flexible because it's very much easier to put around the cake, so that's just bought lace. You also want to cover a heart-shaped board with some red icing, or you want to cut a heart out some thick cardboard and put a thin layer of icing on top of it, which is what I've done. So I've got red cardboard and I've covered it with some red icing. And this is going to be a backdrop to the chair in which your bride and groom are sitting. You need your bride and groom. I've made these in advance, and you can do these the same hairstyle as the actual couple that you're doing the wedding cake for. So we've got an 8-inch round cake, which is about 4 inches high, so about 10 centimetres high, and 8 inches, about 20 centimetres across. I've covered it with white icing, and I've put it onto a 10-inch board, and then that's gone onto a 12-inch board. When you cover your boards and your cakes, follow my tutorials because it shows you how to do it neatly. Our little base here is just a polystyrene base, which is about 1 inch high, and I've put my little seat on there, and follow the tutorial to make the bride and groom. Now let me show you how to make these hearts using this lovely little mould. I've got this dabber dust which is filled with corn flour, and you do need to use that because when you actually put your icing into the mould, sometimes it can stick. Now I'm using a combination of modelling and flour paste and sugar paste at about that ratio. So I've got about 1/4 to 3/4. I'm going to blend them together, and this will make it less likely for the icing to stick inside the mould. So blend it completely so it's not marbled. It's a little bit sticky, so I'm just going to use a little bit of corn flour there to stop it sticking. Now you want to actually dust very slightly the inside of the mould by just dabbing that over it. Then take a ball of icing and press it gently into the mould, and then pop it out. And there you have your little heart. Sometimes when you take these hearts out of the mould, they lose that little dip at the top that gives them a definition, and you can always mark that in there again by using just a tool like that. So once again, just a little bit of corn flour dabbed into there. Take a ball of icing, press it gently into there, just pushing down. And when you form that shape, once again, pop it out, and there you've got your little heart, and you can always just make that little shape there. And I've done this about 4 or 5 different colours, loads and loads of different sizes, and they're going to go all over my cake when they're finished. Let these dry, I would for at least 24 hours, and then they're ready to go on the cake. You want to stick your base with your bride and groom on to the top of your cake, but do dowel this cake underneath, because if you don't dowel it, there's quite a lot of weight here, and especially if this is a sponge cake, it'll sink down into it. So dowel the bottom cake, put this little polystyrene block that you've covered in icing on a thin board, and then put that on top, and you've got your bride and groom in position. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to use some pieces of this lace, and I'm going to put it around there, and that's going to hide that join at the bottom where the two cakes meet each other. Now the reason that I've used lace on this cake is because I'm cheating really, because I've done this design for people who can't really pipe. So if you have difficulty piping or you need a very, very quick design to do, this one is perfect. So put that round. I've got a little bit of royal icing just at the back here, and I'm sticking that in place until that's secure. Same with the next one, just put a little bit of royal icing just around there. Pop that round. A little bit more there, and that will stay in place. Now you want to start arranging these hearts onto your cake. So if we, a little bit of royal icing there, And we stick that one on the front of the cake like that. Just choose different colours to be close to each other. So if we go for a bright yellow one now. Royal icing, we'll hold that on. And don't forget some little tiny ones as well. Because they are so pretty, these little baby ones. They're like little cushions. So continue until you've got lots of little hearts stuck all over your cake. Arrange as many or as few hearts on your cake as you wish, just with some royal icing behind them and sticking them on. And remember to do some around the back as well. Now the finishing piece on this cake is to put your red heart behind the bride and groom at the back. And that would just crown your cake completely. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick some royal icing, a generous quantity of royal icing along the back of that chair. And then I'm going to push this heart slightly into the cake and back against there so that very firmly sits there and there's no way that that's going to fall off. Now the final little touch that I would do on here is I would add a few little hearts up here on my board. I'm going to put a pink one there and then maybe a little orange one and just a little white one just to finish it off. And there you've got your sweetheart's wedding cake with your bride and groom and lovely big fat squashy hearts.